This is February 19th, 1986. Julie Strong and Martha Hartzog interviewing Mrs. Teresa Hardeman at her antique shop on East 6th Street at 911. The topic is Black entrepreneurs on the 400 block of East 6th Street between the years 1890 and 1920.
And I just think you've got the names. We got from the city directors. We got the names.
Some memories. I'll give you the memories of the one that was there about a little before I was born. I don't know how long they've been there. And I can give you some. Now, the Actels, they were there.
The Atals, yeah.
Atals.
Yeah, we want the black people.
You want the black?
This is not, not the Lebanese.
Not the Lebanese. Well, see, they was all mixed in there. But I'll tell you the blacks that I knew was in there.
So we want to get your memories of the businesses and the businessmen and the businesswomen and the blacks. It's all.
Well, now, only thing I can come on up for the 20s.
Yeah.
But I can't. Well, I would say it was 25. That's the only way I can give you.
That's good. And
would that be all right?
Yeah, that would be fine. And the other thing that we're interested in is your sort of perspective as yourself a black entrepreneur, and how that's been, and what you've done, and what you think made you a success. As somebody who had a business who was black, and sort of your perspective on that too. But let's start.
Also, I think Ms. Hardeman.
But that was on Red River.
I know, but just in general, a lot of your experiences.
Oh,
your observations, your wisdom that you learned.
Sure. Okay.
But also, you as a woman, black entrepreneur,
yeah.
That's important to us. Most of the people we talk to are men. So we want to know something about what you saw on East 6th Street in the 1920s as a woman. And
okay.
Okay?
Will you tell me when you want me to start?
All right. Well, we're taping right now. So.
Now, I'm Teresa Seidel, S-I-D-L-E, Seidel Hardeman, H-A-R-D-E-M-A-N. But my late husband passed in 71, and everybody knows me by Mays, Teresa Mays.
Is that your new name now?
That's my new name now. And I always like to give my Seidel my maiden name because my father was one of the first black antique dealers in Austin. He came here from Pflugerville in 1917, and then he moved his family here when I was a baby. He moved here in 1918.
When did he establish his antique shop here?
He established his antique shop in 1918.
Mm-hmm. Where was that?
On Red River. It was about 10th and Red River. And see, it wasn't many businesses down there. I can remember that as a child. And but I do remember I'm coming on up 6th Street because his friends, a lot of his associates that was in business was his friends. And he was
What was your father's name?
Simon.
Simon
Seidel. S-I-M-O-N-S-I-D-L-E. And he first came to Austin working as he sold junk for this man back on 5th Street. I can't think of their name, but then he got so many antiques and little treasures until he started selling to people. Mrs. I'm trying to think of her name. Josephine. I can't think of her last name. But anyway, he started selling her antiques, and then he opened a business for himself.
Was she a white woman?
She was white. See, he was the only black. It wasn't but about 3 or 4 antique dealers here at that time. And for years, it wasn't. Since I would say about the last part of 58, it wasn't many antique dealers here. One many shop. The antique rate just, what I say, becomes plentiful and not so plentiful for a town for a city this large. But I would say about 58. 1958.
That's when antiques became really popular.
No, they've always been popular. Antiques was just sold to, mostly that bought antiques then was the richer class of people.
Before 1958?
Uh-huh. Yeah, and before then, the early 1900s, because a lot of the whites, even down though they were German, I used to go with my daddy through the country, and they had discarded a lot of the antiques or put them down in the basement. That's when he could buy cheaper, because they wanted some new modern stuff.
So he bought from the white Germans
Uh-huh.
out in the country.
Uh-huh. Out in the country. I'd go with him when I was a little girl.
When was this?
That would be when he first started. Well, I was about, I used to carry his lunch, his dinner, and I'd go with him in the country sometime when I was about 10, 8, 9, or 10 years of age.
So this would have been in the late 1920s?
That would have been, that would have been about the late 20s.
Well, how did your father get interested in antiques?
Well, he first started to selling junk for this man on 5th Street.
So
And his grandson is down there now, and you could get his name and everything. It's right here on 5th Street, back here on 5th. But he first started to selling junk. He was a horse trader in Pflugerville, Texas.
Your father was?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And then he came here because you know how the war was, and it enticed people to move about. And so he moved from Pflugerville, and then a year later he came back and got his family. We had a farm right on in Pflugerville, and my mother had a cafe there, and she was the only black person uptown with a business.
She was.
She
Okay,
was.
you have a very long tradition in your family
Oh,
of
yes.
women entrepreneurs.
Yes, She had a cafe. She could really cook, and she never did work out in private homes or nothing like that. She raised a family. But now this was before I was born.
Right.
See, it was 2 sets of children. It was 12 children, and so we picked cotton. You know, we picked our farm, and then we hire out to other farmers. But that was before my time. You see, with these 2 sets, the older set. Well, I'm the third from the baby, so I wouldn't know nothing about that but what they told me. But I have been showing the farm where we owned it, and I have been showing the street. It was the main street. It wasn't, but in Pflugerville, it wasn't no, way out when I was a kid, because we had cousins that lived there. My mother's sister, and she had passed, and so my mother's sister lived there, and we'd go down there and visit her. When I can remember when I was about 8 and 10 and 9 and 11, on up to about 15 years of age.
Well, now, were your parents from Pflugerville?
No, my parents was from Brenham, and we had the White Sidles. They had farms down there, and my father, he never did like to work for nobody. He didn't work on the farm. He always sold horses or dug wells and things like that. But his brother had a large farm and had a large family, and the White Side was close by. And my grandmother was named Mary Seidel, and she was born 3 years before slavery was abandoned.
So she was born about 1860.
She was 104 when she passed. I can remember seeing her, and she was living in Brenham out in the country,
Okay, let's get back to your father. So he sort of fell into his interest in antique shops by deciding to move from Pflugerville.
Yeah, he
where
was always a
farmer.
businessman. He dug wells. He sold horses, traded horses. They call it trading horse. I don't know why, but that's what he did. And and by the way, my late husband had met my father with his family while he was a little boy, and my daddy sold him a horse, so he had never forgotten it, but it was a coincidence.
Yeah.
But he sold him a horse, one eye. He was a good horse, but he was one-eyed. and his daddy sold it to his daddy and his daddy, Tanny Mays, my husband's father. And he was a little young boy, and all he could see was my daddy getting away from there. And his father found out later that the horse that my daddy had sold him had one eye, but he turned out to be a very fine horse. So anyway, he moved to Austin. And
Why did he move here?
He moved here because he could make more money, you know, for business reasons.
After the war.
After the war was going on. See, I was a war baby.
Uh-huh.
And he moved here when I was a baby, so I don't remember even moving here. I was that young, you know. So I was born in 1918, but I don't want to tell my age.
We won't tell.
So, anyway, he came here, and we lived on 13th and which is I-35, but they call it East Avenue. And he had a shop on 10th and Red River, and I'd walk down there. It was a park down there. And where I-35, it was given to the blacks by let me see, Mayor I can't think of this mayor's name, but he gave it to the black. And every
When? About?
it must have been around 19 and 15 thereabout.
Was that the
before I
first
came.
black park?
That's the
That
only
was
one.
Emancipation Park.
The Emancipation Park came later. See, they didn't have a park. Samuel Houston College used to be on East Avenue and East Avenue, East Avenue and 12th. And they moved it to Houston Tillerson College. And then
So there was a park for blacks before Emancipation Park.
yes, as far as I can remember. Well, I won't say that. I won't know. Because the reason I say it, because when I was a little girl, we used to go to the Emancipation Park, and they had a beautiful time there on the 19th of
Before
June.
this mayor helped establish this other park.
But now it was always there, too.
The
That
other
is, I
park.
can remember.
Okay, did you tell us where that other park is located? Not
Um,
Emancipation, but the second one.
10th and Red River?
No, 35. That is East Avenue,
Uh-huh.
what is now called I-35. That was East Avenue. They call that East Avenue. They didn't have the expressway there. It was a park there from 12th down to 11th Street.
Okay.
And the band played there, and the families met and had their nice time talking and everything. And they played the band and sold different little cold drinks. And anyway, I'd walk through this, going down, that was 35. I was going down 35. That wasn't I-35. That was East Avenue. I'd go down East Avenue and go right on 12th Street down to the shop, and it was on 10th and Red River. Red River is a street that's running south and north and south.
Right.
And it's 1 block from East Avenue, so I didn't have, 2 blocks I could cut over.
Did you ever do any walking down East 6th Street during that period?
Oh, yes, I'll get to that.
Okay.
See, I was getting up to that. My daddy, about him, my father, about him having the shop and why I know about E6. Now, you see, when I was a little girl, my sister used to come here from Houston. That was a treat. Children didn't go to town, you know, but ever so often during the Christmas holidays, especially buying shoes for them to go to school and things like that. But they didn't have a chance to go, so I'll come on up from my childhood and tell you about Mr. Lyons. Louis Lyons was his name. He had a store right there on the corner where the Junior League thrift shop is now. And he was his friend, and he sold, well, I never did go in the store, but I think it was produce. And I don't know whether it was a grocery store, a produce store, or what. But he had his store there. And then he was a friend to my father. And then we moved, in 1929, we moved down on 12th. He bought the bottle shop down there on 12th and Red River, where the bakery's there now. But it was a bottle shop there about in the 50s.
Liquor?
That was in the 50s. But when we moved down there in 29, we just stayed down there 2 years. It was a that's where he had his shop.
Oh, yeah, so he had his antique shop.
He moved from 10th Street to 12th and Red River. And that was in 1929. And I know that because I passed the high school. They was having you could go to high school, Anderson High, from the 7th grade. When you passed out, I went to Olive Street School, and you passed out of that and went to the 7th grade. And
So-
you was in Anderson High then.
So you then were promoted up to, you started Anderson High right then.
So I know, and it was freezing, and my mother didn't want me to go to school, but I didn't want to miss a day. So I know it was in 29, and right now I'm suffering from a big toe, got frostbite. But I know I was 12 going on 13 or 13-1. I don't know which one it was at that time. But anyway, I passed over to Anderson High School. Well, then I began, my sister would come here, and she had came previous years before from Houston, and that was just a treat. She had married and moved to Houston, and she'd bring my mother money and bring us all presents, and Christmas was just a big thing. And then what I was driving up to was we'd get to go down on 6th Street.
So this was an unusual deal.
This was an unusual deal. And
Why did you
because
why did you get to go then? Just
because
your
she
sister was here?
came. Yeah, we could
Oh.
go down there shopping and things like that. But I'm very observant. I observe a lot, and it sinks in my mind real deep because
That's what we need.
I know what we had down on 6th Street at that time, so that would have been 40 years ago, wouldn't it? More than 40 years ago. But now, things that I know, my mother went to Houston to visit this daughter, and I had they was wearing Boyce Bob. So Mr. Warren had a barber shop on East 6th Street, about in that block, 300 block. And he was on the barber shop was on that side. And
That
then same side,
North
Lewis
side.
line.
Okay, north side.
And the man that ran it then, the head of man, was Mr. Warren. I don't know Mr. Warren, but he owned it. But a friend of my mother's worked there, cut hair there, and he cut my hair and gave me a Boyce Bob. So my mama had a fit when she come, and I haven't had no hair since. And so Mr. Warren and Mr. Kennedy, and I would say, and Mr. Allen, that was my mother's friend. That's the one cutting my hair. He was in that barber shop.
Was it Mr. Johnson Allen? Does that ring a bell?
I have a habit now just saying Mrs. White or Mrs. So-and-so, but I never get the first name because I have to meet so many people,
Right.
and I forget, and I don't.
Well, Miss Hardeman, let me ask you a question. Did I catch something a couple minutes ago? This barbershop, is it your impression that this barbershop had been a barbershop?
Before I was come on the scene.
Okay. You know what I've noticed in studying this street is that a place gets to be a certain type of business, and then it'll change through a number of different proprietors, but it'll stay a barbershop, or it'll stay a restaurant, or it'll stay a tailor's shop.
That's right.
Can you explain to me why that was happening? Was that because there was equipment in the store, in the place?
Well, I would say
already
that
set
was
up?
one reason, because they had very fine. Now, a lot of people think it was just a little old dilapidated thing, but I have seen pictures, and I have acquired pictures that I don't want to foreclose, and it's very exclusive. Everything, I have old pictures of the Delashwa drugstore, the ice cream chairs, the big mirrors, the bars, very elaborate. I have pictures of printers. They had big oak desks, big rolled oak top desks, big nice stove, and
Printers?
the printers.
What printers?
Yeah, the ones that did the newspapers.
Or maybe they was
Or the
newspaper.
printer. Yeah, there's a printer.
Samuel Holmes? Mr. Holmes?
No, that was before my time. I just said I saw pictures of these things, and I have pictures of those things.
And you think these are pictures of the businessmen on the street?
On
before
East
your
6th Street before I came on the scene. But Mr. Warren was there, and you was asking me, do I think people moved into those buildings because they had already been set up for a barbershop or so and so on. So I would say that's a good idea,
So
because all
somebody
this
owns-
fine equipment in there, and you know when your heirs die off, you don't have no immediate heirs, and I guess they just rent it out to another
All right, so
barber.
what you're saying then is that one person owned the building and had, and somehow the equipment got into the shop, be it tailor shop equipment, sewing machines, or barber shop, and then that person would rent to a number of different people over a period of time? Is that your-
No. See, all that was a large barber shop. Beautiful chrome chairs, barber chairs in it.
Chrome barber chairs?
Yeah, chrome and enamel. You know how the old-timey
Yeah.
barber chairs are made. And the arms and the...
This is Mr. Warren's barber shop.
And I would say that was in the early 20s. Before, it could have been before the 20s. But now I'm talking about as far as I saw. And I was very young to...
Well, I think it's very
be able
unusual.
to go down there and observe this. And I observed the mirrors. They had mirrors all on the wall, and it was 7 or 8 barbers in that one place.
Really?
But all I can remember...
Mirrors all the way around on all 4 walls?
No, not all 4 walls.
How many walls?
Where they had a barber chair on the opposite side. of
2
wall.
walls would have mirrors. So there's 6 or 7 chairs in that shop, would you say?
More than that. I said it would be about 8. I would say about 8.
Why, what made you
more.
think? You said it was a very fine shop. What
Because I know
impressed you about it?
From a kid up, I've been able to judge quality. And, you know, some people have it and some people don't. And I did have it, and I can recall back, and I have some pictures of... I don't have that barber shop, but I can tell you some other things that I saw. And I know by just looking at the pictures that... And I know about this particular barber shop because I had the occasion to go there and get my hair cut, and Mama's a friend. And
Wasn't that rather unusual that you, as a girl, went in to have your hair cut at a barber shop? Why didn't you go to a... Why was that unusual?
They didn't
Was that
have
common?
no beauty shops.
No
in those-
hairdressers?
No,
For
they
girls?
had a few hairdressers in their home without, they didn't issue a license when I was a little girl. They didn't have to get a license. They just did hair. Now,
In their homes.
uh-huh.
Or was it common
And
then
then
for the
the
women to go
family-
to the barber shops?
no.
No, it was
wasn't.
very uncommon for you to go in there and get that
Uh-huh.
haircut.
No,
I
see,
thought.
that was my friend.
Because the
That
mother's friend.
that boyish
Yeah.
Bob just came. Now they would go in and get that boyish Bob. See, that boyish Bob hadn't been in my lifetime. See,
So it was a new style.
it was a new style.
New,
You cut it real short on one side, and this other side was kind of long and hit over here. But I had
Kind of falling over your eyes.
It's like the punks now. You know,
yeah.
they have
and real short behind. See, well, if you cut it short and had to have it pressed or dressed, as colored people do have to have their hair dressed, well, see, it was hard because you didn't go to no beauty parlor, and your oldest sister usually did your hair, or your mother did your hair in your home. Little children didn't go to no beauty parlor. Listen to their auntie or somebody was a good you know, how to press hair good. But they didn't have, now in the other biggest, larger cities, I don't know. But in Austin, I do know.
Well, was this hairstyle that you got your hair cut in, was it called the boyish bob? Or you
Boyish
just
bob.
described it?
Boyish
Oh,
bob.
that was in the 20s. That was what they were wearing.
Boyish bob.
Okay. And you think that this was, did we get a date on that, Martha? This was late 20s that you would have had that haircut?
No, we didn't.
I was 13, yeah.
13 years old.
Don't put that down.
Well, okay.
I don't
just
want my
need-
age traced
Yeah.
up.
So that would make it about when?
That would make it
1930?
That would make it about 20. That would make it about make it about 30.
Okay, 1930. Okay, what other pictures do you have of businesses down there?
Now I'm gonna tell you about you mean blacks.
Oh,
Now Mr. Warmer.
Yeah, we
Hugh
want to hear
Warmer.
about you, Mom. Yeah, let us.
Now right next to the barber shop, he always had a business as long as I know. I don't know how long he had been there before I knew, but he was there when I used to go down there, and when my sister used to come home for Christmas and take us. And then they had a picture show, but it wasn't operated by. It was in the next block. No,
Lincoln?
It was the Harlem Theater. Yes, it was Mr. Lawson.
Mr. Lawson ran the Lincoln, but what about the Lyric? Wasn't the Lyric going on in the 400 block at that time?
The Lyric. No, not when I was. The only one I know was Mr. Lawson. He was the first one, and he was a black. But I had heard that it was a picture show there.
Tell us about Hugh Warmoth and
Hugh
his
Warmoth,
cafe.
he sold drinks
Is a cafe?
in a cafe. He was a cafe, but he sold drinks there, and I think they
Liquor?
played.
Liquor?
I think they sold beer.
Uh-huh.
I never did go in there. I know they had a window, and you could get link, hot dog or hamburger right in that. See, they
How much were those?
children was a little modest in those days, and they know by instinct whether they should go in a place or not.
Uh-huh.
See, and I couldn't say
So-
what they was doing in there, but I know it was cafe.
Okay, and
But I have heard that they played dominoes in there.
but you as a child sort of knew that you were not supposed to go into
Uh-huh.
Mr. Warmoth's.
Not to go in there.
Why? Because it was for grown-ups, or it was a little shady, or
Well, it wasn't a matter whether it was shady, but you seen too many men in there and not many women, you know. And then you could get what you wanted was the food. But I did
but you
go
could
in
get that
there.
food through the window, couldn't you?
But I did go in there. But I didn't go in there often, you know. If I did, I just stood so far from the door, about 3 feet from the door. But it was a bar, I would call it, and chairs all on this side, and it wasn't as large as the barber shop, so it wasn't nothing on that side over there.
So it had a bar with stools, plus it had tables and chairs.
A little
Is that
table
what
and chair a little further back that way, so I couldn't. I never did go back in there.
Uh-huh.
I just always went about 3 or 4 feet from the door. And they had this window there. And then later on I got inside. But Mr. Warmoth, his son worked with him. His son, I think.
His son's still alive?
No, I think he passed. Hugh Warmoth, I think, was his name.
Any Warmoth descendants still
And
alive?
Mary had a daughter named Mary Warmoth. And then his last daughter passed here not too long ago, but I can't remember her name right now.
So as far as you know, there are no Warmoth descendants still alive in
Oh
Austin.
yes, they had. Mary Warmoth had a son that I know of.
Is he still here?
I believe he
Do
is.
you remember his name?
No, I can't think of his name.
Was it Mary? What
Mary
was Mary
was-
Warmoth's last name?
Big partner.
What was Mary Warmoth's last name? What would her son's name be? Did she go by Warmoth, or did she have another name?
Oh yeah, she had another name after she married. Legal. See, they didn't bunk up with people then. They married. I can't think of her husband.
Well, we'll come back to that. We're
Okay.
looking for any descendants of any of these business people because
Oh.
they're the ones who might know the most about the businessmen and women.
that
So
is
we'll
a
want
good
to follow
idea.
them up.
Well, I'll tell you who you can ask. You can
Yeah.
ask my stepdaughter, Annie Pearl Gibbs, and she can tell you, and she can tell you the other sister's name. And she have a beauty shop on Chicon, 1301 and a half Chicon. And her husband have a barber shop, so it's a two-story building on the corner, so you can't miss it.
Okay. Do you know her phone number by any chance? There.
Not, I can't think of it
Okay.
right now.
All right. Well, tell us more about what was served at Mr. Wormuth's cafe.
Well, you could get fish, you could get chili, you could get hamburger, you could get a hot dog. I know those things.
Was it considered real nice?
Oh
place?
yes, it was a nice.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have no seating. The red light district was from East Avenue around on 7th Street. It off of Sabine.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the red light districts, and you didn't go down there.
Mm-hmm. So the red light district did not extend to 6th Street. Is that right?
No, ma'am.
No.
No, ma'am.
Well,
It didn't even extend on the north side of East 6th Street. It come in right there. I would say that's 8th, and down in Sabine, right down in there.
around 7th and 8th Street.
In Sabine, right in there.
But not either on the north or south side of 6th Street was there a red light district.
Not while I was there.
So children and youngsters were free to walk on both sides of
Both
6th
sides
Street.
of the street.
It was a nice place.
But you mostly went Red River. I don't think this end of 6th Street was built up until latter years. I think all I remember from Junior League Thrift Shop back to East Avenue is nothing. So I believe it was one theater I had heard, but it was a Spanish theater on the corner of 35. It wasn't exactly on the corner, but it was 2 or 3 doors from the, what you call that side road off of I-35 now, what we call I-35. But that was called East Avenue. But I never did come down that way.
So you're saying the East 6th Street was pretty vacant, say, between the 500 block and the 700 block, except for this Spanish theater. There weren't very many.
Say that again. The blocks.
The 500 to the 700 block.
I would say
it was pretty
so.
vacant.
It was. And on this side, I don't remember nothing there.
Okay.
It started on across from the Junior League and went on up. But they were,
500 block. That's the Carrington store.
Oh, yeah.
and see that was Joe Lewis. I mean, that was
Lions.
Lions. Is
All right. Well, then
now
give us in your own words what East 6th Street was.
East 6th Street was the poor man's Fifth Avenue.
Great.
That's beautiful.
You know what, Miss Hardeman?
Mm-hmm.
I saw a letter that you wrote to Kirsten Mullen a couple of years ago, and in that letter you said, quote, it was our Fifth Avenue, and I was hoping we'd get you to say that again today without having to say, did you say?
Well, see, I've always been a imaginative, and I've read a lot. I used to read every little piece of paper, every little magazine that I could get in my hand on. But I learned about New York and daydreamed about it, and I knew pretty good, you know.
I've done the same thing.
Sure enough. So, and then Sears Roebucks, I learned later that about these merchants going up to New York and buying, we probably got a hold to a lot of things, because, you know, they have bankruptcy sales and they have sales, and you can go and get some fine things if you know how to pick quality.
So 6th Street merchants were going to New York? To
Yeah,
buy?
they-
Who was doing that? Did you hear of anybody in particular?
Those Jews. those Jews.
Gelmans? The
Gelmans and all. Yeah, anybody that sold merchandise, they wouldn't buy it around here. See, we didn't have no factories close around Austin. And I don't think Dallas is wild now. You can go there and get a lot of things. But in those days, they had to go up north. We call it north, to buy their merchandise, where the factories were. But I realize now, because I go and compare some of the things that Scarber's had after I became about 17 and 18. I was good on comparing quality and the way clothes was made. That these 6th Street dealers must have went up there and got a little, but they sold it to us cheap. You see what I mean?
See, I think you got all that orientation toward quality through your daddy and his store business, and you picked it up real fast.
I picked it up
And
real
that's really
fast.
helped you as a
Her
business.
genes, she had it in her genes. She had it in her blood.
It was
That's
in
really
my
helped
blood.
you in your business.
Because I've observed through customers, some people ain't got no judgment about what would be beautiful or what would, in the next few years, it would be more valuable. They just grab a little something. You pay for what you get. And if you grab a little 50-cent item, 2 chances to 1, that person, that was a 15-cent item.
What
and
makes
so
it?
they could make it 50 cents.
What
But
makes
now-
it a 15-cent item or a $100 item?
Because in the beginning, it was a 15-cent item.
The way it was
And
made.
in the beginning, it was a $100 item.
The way it was
it
made, the
had
material.
potentials for, if it was finer. Say, wisdom is justified of its children. And if, like they used to come in there, well, I used to get this from your daddy for $3.50. But see, times change. Well, he used to go out and get a whole box, a whole trunk of stuff for $5, and maybe not get no more than $1.50 for a piece that was worth about $25 that I got when I was first started in business. And nowadays, you can go and carry it to people that know, and they can get $200. Because I try to keep my prices down for my level of my prestige, so they can say I got this at Teresa cheap. And there may be a big gallery in Houston that have that same object for $500. I just got $150 for it.
When did you go?
But
to
I
business?
knew I wasn't ignorant. I just did it because my mind tells me things,
When did you go into business?
I went into business when I was 24 years of age. I went into business in 1941. And I sold out of my backyard. And before then, I gathered up stuff in Houston. I worked for Governor Harvey. And I'd go around. It's always been in my blood.
Governor Hobby?
And I stayed with my sister Rosalie, the one I told you used to come on, and she passed in '52. So I stayed with her until the war broke out, and we was going to California. And then I didn't want to go to California because I didn't want to get that far away from my mother. So then,
All right, tell me some more about. You said that East 6th Street was the poor man's Fifth Avenue. What else was it besides a shopping center?
it was a place where you could have fun, like the picture show. It was a place where you could go out to eat. We say go to dinner. Could I carry you to lunch? We had cafes there where they sold the best chili you ever put in your mouth. And we had hot sausage establishments there. So it was a place of entertainment. You could buy, it was a Piggly Wiggly there. You could buy groceries. It was the dentist. I'm going to get to the dentist. We had dentists there. You want me to tell you about them now?
Well, yeah, I do. I want to hear about them, but I want to hear about East 6th Street in general.
In general. Okay, we had a little further up towards Congress Avenue. We had places there where you could get, well, what we call some of your most fashionable clothes, dresses and suits. And we had places there, about 400 block, where you could get good work clothes. We had places there where you could get your eyeglasses. Well, everything that was
So entertainment
available.
and shopping and recreation.
Yeah.
What about nightlife?
Not nightlife. I have heard, but not that I know for certain. I couldn't quote. But I have heard they played dominoes a lot, and they did a little gambling.
Where? What types of places?
I would imagine it's back in the alleys of some of the business. I don't know. I couldn't quote you, but I've heard that. And
So in the respect that it was not a place for much nightlife, that's different from today, because it's a heavy nightlife place. Would you say?
my God! See, it's changed. So it's just like another world, you know, another
I don't
world.
like to go down there.
It's another city. But I haven't been down there, but I heard it was too fast. And I went to, I had the occasion to go to New Orleans just once. But it was certain parts of New Orleans you didn't go. It was too fast. Well, I've heard that 6th Street on this end is so fast you better not go down nowadays.
I know it.
But now it wasn't so. Because like I say, the red light district was off maybe 2 or 3 blocks. You didn't know what house, because as a young girl, because you didn't go that close to it.
So let's see.
Now, I'm going to tell you about the dentist
The doctor.
and the
Is
doctor.
there anything else we want to know about Hugh Warmus? How much
Gosh,
did you
I
have to?
got so much here.
Yeah, how much did you pay for a bowl of chili at Hugh Warmus? And was that the place you were referring to when you said
15 cents.
15 cents for a bowl of chili? Was that the place you were talking about when you said you could get the best bowl of chili that you ever put in your
No,
mouth?
that was close.
What was across the street?
I don't know whether they was Dagos or what, but they are Lebanese. But that's where he sold chili, but that wasn't where he got you.
Okay.
Yeah,
It was a
that's
Lebanese
to me,
person
you know.
who, was it Nichols where you got that good chili?
I believe it was. I believe it was.
Nichols, what was the name? Was it a cafe?
It was
just
a
little lunch
cafe.
stand?
You walk in and they had a few bars up at front, and then all the tables was in the back, and they'd come and ask you.
Well, was it typical then? You're what I'm hearing you say is that on East 6th Street there were a bunch of different ethnic groups. There were Lebanese. I know there were white. I know there were Chinese. I know there were black. Was this typical of Austin that you had all this mixture?
Not that I didn't go nowhere but on Congress Avenue. Austin
And
didn't
6th.
have all. See now.
Did Congress have all these
typical.
different nationalities and ethnic groups, like East 6th Street?
Well, now I've heard that Good Friends was a Jew.
Yeah, they're Jews.
But you know, some Jews is more rich than the other Jews. But now
Some people are more rich than others.
So I've had the occasion to meet the grandson of E.M. Scarborough, but I never met Old Man Scarborough. And I have on my little zebra at home a piece of a pint of wood that they had in one of the eaves from one of the home they tore down on one of the Scarborough's home.
Yeah.
But
Teresa,
now,
I'm gonna pursue you about this. You said you're implying that 6th Street was quite a mixture of businessmen.
yes, ma'am.
Was Congress? Did Congress have that mixture, or were there more people kind of alike? Were there more white folks? Were the
I believe it
stores
was more
expensive?
white. I believe it was more white on Congress. See,
And were the stores of a different
T.H.
kind?
William, I think, was white, and Crest. They had a Crest, but people just worked in there. You never did see the owners. It was Crest, Woolworth, and
Did you find more hotels or jewelry stores on Congress?
no hotels that I
on
know.
Congress than on
It was
6th
farther
Street?
down, and I didn't go that far down.
I'm looking
you
for
know.
differences between Congress and 6th Street. Did you see any differences, like the
Yes,
types of
ma'am.
stores? What kind of differences
They
did you
were
see?
finer stores on Congress.
Yeah.
There were
More expensive goods.
more expensive goods. There was about the same variety of, like they had the Paramount Theater, and they had theaters on that street. They had
The kinds of businesses.
Uh-huh.
They're the same.
a little different. The bakery, and they had the banks, the Austin, was it the Austin Knight Hill? Over on this side. It's one of the oldest banks there, it's still there.
Were there bookstores? I know there were bookstores on
Yeah.
Congress. Were there bookstores on East 6th?
Not that
Or
I remember.
stationery stores?
Yeah, you could get that in these certain variety stores. They had a
In Six-
little
on Six.
drugstore, and you could get little things like that. They had, what is this drugstore? It's kind of close to Congress Avenue.
Yeah.
It's an old drugstore. You could get all that kind of stuff.
Grove.
Grove drugstore. And then, like I say, on getting to Congress, you had your fashionable lady dresses and suits and better shoes and not work shoes. But
Did you have jewelry stores on East 6th Street? in the
yeah, you
20s?
had jewelry stores.
Did you have as many jewelry stores?
No,
on 6th?
no.
You
You
sit
see
down here
now-
for a while. I'll just switch places with you.
I'll walk over there.
No, I didn't tell
Because
you. I didn't tell you about Dick Madison. I didn't
We
get
haven't
to
heard
that.
that name before, have we?
I've heard of Madison, but I can't
It's
remember.
right there on the corner, on the opposite corner of, is that New Aces and 6? See, the barber shop?
Natchez and Trinity are the two streets that are on the
Okay,
either
well,
end
it's,
of our
it's
block.
this one here. Well, now you take here. I'm gonna go up
Natchez.
this way and tell you what was here. A barber and that. I'll start down from 6th Street.
Right, now which end are you starting on?
I'm starting
East or
from
west?
Red River,
Okay, the Red River end.
going up to that's 2 blocks where the picture show was and where the
Where?
chili eating.
Lincoln Picture Show or the Lyric? We got to know what block we're talking about.
We talking about it was on the. I would say that's
We
the
want to talk.
300 block.
We want to talk about the block where Hugh Warmoth's Cafe was.
That would be where. What block is that where the
That's
junior
400.
league is?
That's 500, Martha says.
Well, then it would be the 400 block.
Okay, that's what we want to hear about. Are the shops there and the stores there that you saw?
Okay. Now, on the very first one, I ain't talking about where the junior league, not that block, but the next
The
block,
next
the
one
400 block,
close to Congress.
was the hot sauce, hot, what did they call it? Hot sausage place, business.
Okay, was that a lunch stand?
No, they barbecued the beef and hot sausage and anything, mutton, and you had you sit at the table, or they had little tables like this on that wall over there. Now you could take it and go out, and where they served was back on this end, and the pit was farther in the back that you didn't get to see. But they had a place there where they lifted it up and you could see where they kept it warm. But to say they barbecued inside of there, no, because it's been too much smoke. But they kept it warm. Now that was the first place.
Now, is that on the
Is that on the
north or
north?
south side?
Both sides.
What side?
That's on this side.
That way?
North
side.
side.
North side. And then on over the top of that, Dr. Hammond used to be on the other side, but he was over on that side. I was 16, and Dr. Hill was,
On the south side.
yeah, but see, later on, as I told you, where, they call him Greasy Dick, but I don't like to say that.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Dick Madison.
Dick Madison. He was over there. Dr. Hill was over on this side, but he moved
South
over
side.
on that side,
Right.
on top of the building.
Right.
See, and then
He was on the south side, then he moved to the north side? Up above the Nicholas Brothers building?
he was over one of those buildings, but I didn't visit him.
424, they
Those were doctors there.
Now, see, they operated over there. Well, over this barbecue place, hot sausage place, Dr. Hamilton was over there because he pulled a tooth for me when I was 16.
Dr.
The Dr.
Hamilton?
Hill, Dr. Hamilton.
Okay.
The Dr. Hamilton, I was 16 years old, and Dr. Hill pulled a tooth and left my root in there. So Dr. Hamilton had to cut it out, so I know that. I may have been 15, but I think I was 16.
Did
No,
you-
I was 15. I was 15.
Did you ever know Dr. Stevens?
No,
Dr. Webster?
no,
Sarah Shelton?
no. Those
Dr.
were before-
Crawford?
I had heard about him, but I had never seen him. See, that must
You
have
knew
been
Thomas
the
de Lacroix.
early 19.
Yeah, it was. You knew Thomas de Lacroix.
Yeah. But I didn't know him down on 6th Street.
You didn't?
I knew him. His mother was Mrs. Morton,
Right.
and she was my 3rd grade teacher,
Uh-huh.
and she wanted to adopt me to read, and I never have. I was a lovely child, beautiful child, and I had beautiful white teeth, and they used to have me to hold my mouth open. They were so pretty. But that's the reason I remember that exactly.
So
But
Thomas de Lacroix did not have his drugstore in your memory.
no, ma'am.
So this is late 1920s.
Yes,
he
ma'am.
had left by that time.
He
You know
had
why he left?
Before. No, I have no idea. I just hearsays, and I don't like to repeat hearsays about a professional person. It's not ethical. But you take now over that Dr. Hammond over the barbecue pit. Then right next door was the little shoe shop. I think the Nichols had it, but you don't want no names of them. Nichols.
Those are the
And then right next to that was Hugh Warman. Then right next to that was a barber shop. Seemed like it was a little, vaguely remembered, seemed like it was a little furniture store in there. But I vaguely remembered squares in there some kind of way.
Who ran that barbershop when you saw it? Do you remember?
Just Mr. Warren.
Mr. Warren. That was the Warren barbershop.
But how long Mr. Warren's had been there, I don't know.
Do you have an old-timey barbershop sign? By any chance?
I don't have one.
Have you ever seen a barbershop chair around?
No, yes, I've had those, and I've had this, one of those. But I can give you, I know where I have friends, both black and white, that have little
have some of
antiques
these
for
things.
years, and they like the finer things that are harder to find things. So
Well, we might be interested in a barber chair from that period if you know of anybody who has one.
my little niece got a barber cabinet.
Really?
Her husband's father, it was her husband's father's cabinet. He's older than I am.
Was her husband's father
And it's
from here in
down
Austin?
here in the, no. But I've seen that similar. See, they used to have what they call, where they put their shaving mugs, and each person knows the shelf where their shaving
Oh,
mugs
really?
were.
So everybody, all the customers had a special mug for themselves.
Oh, yeah, they had their own mugs.
So they treated the
had
same
pretty
customers
mugs.
over and over and over again.
Yeah, they had their customers. Mr. Warren had his. And this man, so like I say, it was 7 or 8 in there. Maybe been 10. See, but
Well, did those barbers who worked with Mr. Warren, did they work on a commission basis? Or
I don't think they did. I think they just paid him a certain amount. Because that commission stuff just come in,
So they sort of, what did they do? Did they rent?
I guess
the
they
space?
rented their
They
space.
rent the chair
and
from
had
them.
their chair.
And it was a set amount, you think?
I
didn't-
think, I'm almost sure it was. Because that commissioner stuff just come in. That runs in too much money, too much time, too much bookkeeping. But then I'm coming, I think they said that they rented rooms over Hugh Warman, over the top of the building. Rented rooms. And like country people would come in here and want to stay overnight. I don't think no bedrooms. Of course, they made it did bad, but I don't think it was permissible,
Right.
People had they was high class people, They wouldn't just grab a dime and any way I get it.
So this is the place where people who came in from the country could stay overnight when they came in to do their
traveler,
shopping.
we'll say.
Who? What?
A traveler.
A traveler, a salesman.
Just the
Just
traveler,
the traveler.
because see, you couldn't pin it down to just a country person, so they had to be at their farm.
Did the country people come in
But
to 6th Street?
gamblers and horse traders and people maybe going to California or going to Houston, and they had little old Model T Ford, and they couldn't get but so many miles.
Why did the country people come in to Austin? And what did they do when they came here?
See, men mostly was the heads of family then, and they carried on that traveling. They don't travel. Women didn't travel in those days with the men for their business. Come on in.
Come in, you say?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry.
that's okay. How you?
Let me come by, kid.
No, that's
I'm-
okay.
Okay. I didn't know you were busy. Did
Oh.
you bring that thing I need?
No, Mister. I laid some brick this morning,
That's all right.
and
That's all right.
I ran late, and I was.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for.
So the women didn't do their traveling with their men. Just
No,
usually just the
no,
men
no.
came in from the country.
No, they from different cities and different the countries. See, the cities wasn't built up. I can remember when I went to Houston. Houston wasn't nothing like it is. 1/3. I used to go there. I had two sisters move there, and I had to stay with their children. You know, when school was out, I had to go home. They worked, and I had to stay with. So I almost finished in Houston because they wouldn't send my critics from Anderson, and they didn't teach. They taught science here, and they taught biology in Houston. So I didn't get my credit, and they wouldn't send them. Campbell was very. I don't know, but anyway, that's why. And see, white and black. Now you didn't have white men hanging around on 6th Street. They didn't allow that. You know, picking up dates or trying to flirt or nothing until I would say about the 60s, the early 60s. They wouldn't dare do nothing like that.
Well, did the black men go down and hang around on 6th Street for picking up dates? If that's early
Well,
period?
they courted.
They courted. So 6th Street was a courting place
Yeah,
for the black folks,
for the
but
black
not for the
people.
whites.
Serenading and carry your boyfriend, eat some chili, eat some hot sauces.
That's wonderful.
And go to pit show. And
All right, but am I correct? Did the white folks not come down there to do their courting? We're talking about
no, not soliciting like they did later on. You know, hanging
But I
out.
mean courting. I mean, did the white folks come down there to do respectable stuff, flirting and courting?
they come, yeah, they browse.
Well,
But
was it mostly black?
It was everybody, because
Okay.
it was always been poor white people, and they'd come down there to some of them stores, and the Mexicans would come. But I was just mostly speaking of black.
Well, we want to know what 6th Street was to the black
Oh,
folks, but we also want to know what 6th Street was
To everybody.
To everybody. And
Yeah, everybody came.
Okay.
Everybody, black, white. But see, I didn't know nothing about rich people. I look at rich people now and tell they're rich. But
that's usually pretty easy, isn't it?
but I couldn't then. I tell you what, a lot of cedar choppers would go down there and see they could eat the ice cream by the groceries. Now I know that because they was pointed out and they dressed different. The
Oh,
cedar,
yeah? How'd they
Remember the
dress?
cedar choppers?
Yeah, sure. How did they dress?
they usually had on a jacket and blue jeans, and a few of them wore khakis, but most of them wore blue jeans and boots. And not these fancy boots like they wear now, you know, these boots that lace up. And they was kind of faded and a little dirty, and the hair was kind of long and a little shaggy, and they'd wear hats that was just crushed, you know. It wasn't crushed in those certain, like the other.
Just kind of rumpled up.
Just kind of rumpled, you know.
You know, a whole thing could be done on that
What-
cedar chopper.
I know it. Well, how did they look different from everybody else?
They would look different. How do?
They were a little dirtier, a little more crumpled looking.
Yes.
So people didn't wear blue jeans at that time, except the cedar choppers.
I wouldn't say that. They were mostly khaki working people in these overalls, these blue overalls, you know, with the suspenders made all in.
Right. Now, are you talking about the cedar choppers? Or are you talking
No,
about
I'm
the
talking
other
about the other
Yeah.
folks.
Okay, so the cedar choppers really sort of stood out when
They
came down.
stood out.
Mhm.
See, so you would know them. And it's just like a hippie in the early 50s, how they stood out. See, now you can't tell a hippie from a teacher at the university, because they all kind of dress alike. They kind of dress hippies like.
Miss Hardeman, I've got to go home.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to come back.
Yeah, you've got a lot of stuff tucked up in your head. We got a lot of.
Now, I tell you what I can do. If you want to take this, I'm going to be going out of town. How long you all going to be in Austin?
Oh, we live here. We're going to be
Oh,
doing
you-
this for several weeks.
Well, why don't you wait? See, I got 1,000 of things on my mind. I got the Carver Museum. They having a date seminar on the 21st. I got to show my dogs at a elementary school. I did one yesterday at 10 o'clock. The third graders. I collect dogs, and I had to show, this is Black History Week, and I had to show my dogs. Okay, I have a brother-in-law in the hospital, and my nephew been telling me sick, but he didn't tell me how sick, and he's very heavy hanging on my heart. I'm a very serious type of person. And I was called to teach the Word of God, so that is my duty for every Christian. Because he said pure religion and undefiled before God is this, to visit the widows and the orphans and keep yourself unspotted from the world. Then he said visit the sick. So that's every Christian duty. But he used to be my brother-in-law, but he and my sister not married. But I found out he had bed sores, and that's just neglecting, and I got to go. I intend to go this morning, and got carried away. I'll take a notion that I'm this type of person. If I take a notion I want to do this, I just leave everything alone and get
Well,
one.
when should we call you back? You're pretty busy, so.
So I would say,
I mean, I could see 2 more sessions. One talking and another filming and talking. Or at least 1 more session. What do you think, Martha?
2 sessions, because your
Well, now
style is going to be different from mine, because I, when we edit a video piece, mine won't be on there and my voice won't be on there, so I can't cut her off. She must go on and finish each anecdote.
All right, well, I probably don't need, I can't help you on the video. I'm interested in talking
But we need
to
to come back and just do like you're doing now once, and then we need to do a video once.
well, then you can come tomorrow. I'll be here tomorrow.
No, I hate to miss it.
Martha's going out of town.
Oh, she's going out
Yeah,
there.
can we set it for week after next? She's going to
That'll
be
be
gone for about 10
beautiful.
days.
That'll be beautiful.
All right, I will call you
Okay.
sometime next week
Mhm.
and set up an appointment with you for the next week when Martha's back in town, okay?
Now here's some doctors too, dentists.
Yeah, I saw that.
And them's old dentists too.
Where? What?
Laying right over there.
Oh.
And you don't find them to buy. Them's
Where
old.
did they date? How old are they?
They would date from the early hundreds. They obsolete now. See, and you very I've got a set, quite a few of them like that once since I've been in business. That show you how scarce they
All
are.
right, you be thinking about
Some
dentist
objects.
materials, tailors, objects,
Uh-huh. I got
barber
that.
shop
I got
stuff,
that.
Doctors.
doctors. What else do we have down there? Cleaners and pressers and dryers.
Well, write that down, and I'll on a little piece of paper and give it to me.
Okay.
And I will get these objects and have them. Because
Okay.
I know what they had in the barber shop. And the barber chair, I got a part of one out there that you could photograph. But I don't have it all there.
We'd also be interested in any photographs that you might have of shops that
I
you
can't
think
do that,
are on the.
babe.
Well, that's fine.
Nah.
You know what else?
Well, can we make a copy of them? Can't even make a copy of
Because they would be my first out.
Yeah, she
I
wants to
want
publish
to be
it.
have.
You're writing a book, did you say?
I'm writing a book.
And these
And
photographs.
I just haven't thought of this. I've got material and stories about these things that I'm writing a book.
And your photographs can tie in
Mhm.
nicely with that.
them? Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize you were writing a book. I
Yes,
didn't know
ma'am.
that.
And that's the reason I told her over the phone. Or was it you I talked to?
And it was.
I couldn't give up. I deprived myself because
Oh yeah, you.
that have been one of my long. Even before this rampage, everybody writing books. Everybody. that have been in my little mind a long time. Because people used to come to me and get materials from all over Austin. You know, they'd be writing a book or they'd be researching on certain.
Like we're doing now.